In the land of the Ammonites, the siege of Rabbah began. In the city of David, the king of the Israelites tended to his expanded kingdom. Sporadic attacks from the Israelites kept the Ammonite defenders off guard. Joab would order these at irregular intervals. David was kept up to date on the siege of Rabbah and would occasionally send word to Joab with orders. The siege lasted for over a year. The Israelites knew it would be a long and arduous affair when they undertook it. They were hardy men. David would spend time on his balcony, looking at the night sky, marveling at the Lord's amazing works, a good distraction from the world's affairs.
Can't do that. Can't do that. I can't do that.
The 5 guardians of David were approached on the field of battle by an unlikely messenger. It was Ariella. She had come from the city of David itself, and she appeared travel-weary and on the brink of exhaustion. The tale she told them was one of deceit, adultery, and impending doom. The 5 listened intently to her account. On this evening, David enjoyed the stars and wonders of heaven, a nice diversion from the rigors of a heavy crown. As he appreciated the Lord's wonders, a distraction of a different sort caught his eye from the fountains below.
You know this woman. Who is she?
She is Bathsheba, my king. She is the daughter of Eliam and the wife of Uriah the Hittite.
Thank you.
That night, David's thoughts raced with images of Bathsheba. He received no sleep. David was enraptured by her beauty.
Go to her handmaiden, deliver this to her, and instruct her to give it to her mistress.
Later that night, Bathsheba came to see David at his invitation. Bathsheba became a regular guest of David's over the next few months. Always did she come in secret. Always did she come at night. David knew that what they did was against the Lord's commandment. He knew it needed to come to an end. He intended to do just that tomorrow. It was always tomorrow. The day came that Bathsheba announced to her king that she had become pregnant with his child. David was very troubled by the disclosure. David sent word to Joab that he was to send Uriah the Hittite home at once.
It is good to see you, Uriah. I understand the siege goes well.
It goes very well, my king. It won't be long before the Ammonites surrender.
That is favorable news, my friend. You have ridden long to reach us. Please, go to your home. Wash your feet.
But Uriah did not go home that night. Instead, he slept with the servants of the palace.
Did you not just come from the siege of Rabbah? Why did you not go home last night?
The Ark of the Covenant stays in the city in a tent. My commander Joab and my lord's guardians are camped in the open country. How could I go home to eat and drink and lie with my wife when this is the case? I could do no such thing.
That is most righteous of you. I understand. Stay here one more day, then return to Rabbah. How can you not see that this is disastrous? How can you sit there so calmly?
Oh, my love. My heart breaks with yours at this news. I fear what would happen if word of our dalliances were to reach my husband. You know I care for him deeply, my Uriah. I fear each time he goes to battle in your name. Every time he leaves on a campaign, I pray to the Lord that no harm comes to him. It would be so regrettable if something unfortunate were to happen to him during his latest campaign. There is no other way, my king.
David composed a letter to Joab. In it he wrote, "Put Uriah where the fighting is fiercest on your next attack. Overreach the assault. When the enemy threatens to overwhelm your men, withdraw them from Uriah so that he will be struck down." David and Bathsheba openly discussed the letter. As was usual, Bathsheba saw the servants as invisible, a fault that David had fallen into as well. And so David gave Uriah the note that signaled his own death, with instructions not to open it. He was told to give it to Joab immediately upon his return to Rabbah. Word eventually made its way to Ariella of the plot against Uriah. Ariella wrote a missive to be carried to her brother Abishai, who was himself on the front lines at Rabbah. She could find no one to take the letter immediately. No couriers could be spared to make the long ride to Rabbah within a fortnight. Ariella decided that the only way her brother would receive her message was if she delivered it herself.
We must find Uriah. Quickly!
David tried to have Uriah go to Bathsheba, so David could hide the fact that he fathered Bathsheba's baby.
Can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that.
Joab did not know exactly why David wanted Uriah dead, but he seems to have been perfectly willing to cause it to happen.
I can't do that.
Joab had nearly completed the victory over Rabbah before offering to let David finish the deed. It is possible he thought David would choose not to come.
The Ammonite general Zahab stood cruelly over Uriah the Hittite and mocked him.
Should have run back to your beggar king with the rest of your men, Israelite. But I'm glad you remained. I enjoy killing dogs like you.
Oh, my king. I have failed you.
And so ended the story of Uriah, who was known as the Hittite. With the defeat of the Ammonite captain, the 5 guardians of David brought their friend back to the Israelite camp and began to mourn him.
She will pay for this. She is a pox upon his house, and I curse her. Do you hear me, O Lord? I curse Bathsheba, daughter of Eliam, and the very air she breathes.
Ariella, sister, it is all right. Be still. Shh.
You sent him to his death.
I understand your anger. Know that I was not aware of David's affair with Bathsheba at the time. Not that it would have mattered. Orders are orders, after all. Would you like some water? It was an unpleasant thing with Uriah. My sister obviously blames Bathsheba. I understand why, I suppose. But the missive that Uriah delivered to me was not written in Bathsheba's hand. I am not so sure my sister is attributing blame correctly.
Must be some information we do not have. David would never sentence one of his own to death over a woman.
This would not be the first time a man was willing to kill for a woman. He may be king, but he is still a man. A man with a crown. That is all David is. He is as weak as anyone else when it comes to the matters of the flesh. Does a man like that deserve a kingdom? With your help, and that, my brother, I could be king within a fortnight.
You dare? Swore a covenant before my king and the Lord that I would protect him from all of his enemies. Your brother swore the same. You make threats to his kingdom to me? I swear to you this now. As long as my king wills it, as long as he lives, I will not touch you. But if ever David wishes you harm, no longer lives, I will be the instrument of your painful demise.
A messenger arrived in the city of David with news from the siege. He read a letter from Joab that said, "The Ammonites came out against us on the plain, but we drove them back to the city gate. In a counterattack that took us by surprise, the Ammonites rallied around their captain. In the melee, your servant Uriah the Hittite was killed." And so David mourned the loss of his lieutenant, as did Bathsheba in her own way. After the time of mourning was over, David had Bathsheba brought to his house, and she became his wife, and she bore him a son. But the thing David had done with Uriah displeased the Lord. The Lord sent Nathan to David, who said to him, "There were 2 men in a town, one rich and one poor. The rich man had many sheep, but the poor man had but one. A traveler came to the rich man, and the rich man refrained from taking of his own flock to feed the man. Instead, he took the lone ewe from the poor man and prepared it for the traveler." David burned with anger at the tale and said, "The rich man must pay for that lamb 4 times over, for he did such a thing and had no pity. You are the rich man. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I anointed you king over Israel, and I delivered you from the hand of Saul. I gave to you all of Israel and Judah. If all of this had been too little, I would have given you more. Why did you despise the word of the Lord? You struck down Uriah the Hittite with the sword of the Ammonites and took his wife to be your own. Now the sword will never depart from your house."
It is true. I have sinned against the Lord.
The Lord has taken away your sin. This is what the Lord says. Out of your own house, I am going to bring calamity on you. You are not going to die. But because by doing this thing to Uriah, you have shown utter contempt for the Lord, The son born to you will die. The Lord struck the child that Bathsheba had borne to David, and he became ill. David begged God to spare the child. He fasted and spent nights lying on the ground. The servants of his household stood beside him, but he would not rise nor take food. On the seventh day, the child died. Upon hearing the news, David went out and washed, changed his clothes, and went into the house of the Lord and worshipped.
While your child lies sick, you fasted and wept. But now that he has died, you get up and eat as if nothing has happened?
While my son still lived, I fasted and wept. I thought to myself, perhaps the Lord may be gracious to me and let him live. But now that he has died, why should I continue to fast and weep? I cannot bring him back. One day I will go to him, but he will never come back to me.
In the Ammonite country, Joab maintained the siege at Rabbah. It was decided that the 5 guardians of David would return from the campaign to their families for a much-needed rest. And so the sun sets over the valley of Elah. It will rise again.